Look at a world map, any world map. It doesn't matter which one. Political, physical, a globe, a poster, something folded in the back of a textbook. Stare at it for a moment and notice something strange. You probably feel like you're looking at reality. You're not. You're looking at a lie. Not a malicious lie, not even an intentional one, but a lie that is so deeply baked into how humans understand the world that most people never question it. Maps are wrong. Not just a little wrong, fundamentally wrong. And the reason they have to be wrong is the same reason you can't peel an orange and lay the skin flat on a table without tearing it. The earth is round. Paper is flat. Something has to break. Every map you have ever seen is a compromise, a mathematical trade-off, a choice about what kind of truth to sacrifice and what kind to preserve. And that choice shapes how you see the world more than almost anything else you've ever learned. Let's start with the most famous map of all, the Mercator projection. This is the one you almost certainly grew up with. Rectangular, straight vertical lines of longitude, straight horizontal lines of latitude. Europe looks big. Africa looks smaller than it should. Greenland looks massive. Antarctica looks like an endless wall of ice. The Mercator projection was invented in 1569 by Gerardus Mercator, not to teach geography, but to solve a navigation problem. Sailors needed a map where straight lines represented constant compass bearings. The Mercator map does that perfectly. It preserves angles. And to preserve angles on a flat surface, it has to distort area. The closer you get to the poles, the more exaggerated the distortion becomes. Greenland ends up looking roughly the size of Africa, even though Africa is about 14 times larger. Europe looks dominant. Canada balloons outward. Russia sprawls across the top of the world. Africa, home to over 1 billion people and more than 50 countries, is visually minimized. This was never a conspiracy, but the consequences were real. When people grow up seeing Europe large and central and Africa small and peripheral, it quietly reinforces a hierarchy. Bigger feels more important. Central feels more powerful. And once you notice that, it becomes hard to unsee. So cartographers proposed alternatives. One of the most famous is the Gall-Peters projection. This map preserves area. Countries appear in proportion to their actual size. Africa finally looks enormous. South America expands. Europe shrinks. Greenland collapses into something far more reasonable. But now, shapes are distorted. Countries look stretched and unfamiliar. People reject it instinctively because it doesn't match what they already believe the world looks like. And that reveals something important. We don't judge maps based on accuracy. We judge them based on familiarity. Another attempt is the Robinson projection. It doesn't preserve area or shape perfectly. Instead, it minimizes overall distortion. It's a compromise. The world looks nice, balanced, reasonable, acceptable, but still wrong. Every projection lies differently. Some preserve distance from a single point, some preserve direction, some preserve shape locally, none preserve everything. Which leads to a strange realization. There is no such thing as a correct world map, only maps that are correct for specific purposes. And the moment you choose a purpose, you choose a bias. This matters far beyond classrooms. Maps have always been political tools. Early European maps placed Jerusalem at the center of the world, not because it was geographically central, but because it was spiritually central to the mapmakers. Medieval maps often oriented east at the top because that was where paradise was believed to be. Modern maps place north at the top. There is no physical reason for this. Space has no up or down. North is just a direction. But putting north on top subtly suggests dominance, power, progress. What if south were on top? Australia suddenly looks dominant. Europe hangs below Africa. The world feels disorienting, even though nothing is changed except perspective. That discomfort reveals how deeply maps shape our intuition. Maps also lie by omission. Most world maps cut off Antarctica or squash it into a thin strip. This isn't just for convenience. Antarctica breaks projections. Its size and position near the pole make it inconvenient. So, we ignore it. Yet Antarctica is larger than Europe. Then there's scale. On a map, borders look crisp, precise, final. In reality, borders are often contested, shifting, ambiguous. Rivers move, deserts expand, coastlines erode. Maps freeze dynamic systems into static lines, and then we mistake those lines for reality. This is especially dangerous in politics. Disputed territories are often shown as solidly belonging to one country or another, depending on who printed the map. A single line can imply legitimacy, ownership, authority. Maps don't just describe the world, they argue. Even digital maps lie. Zoom in to Google Maps and you'll notice something odd. Roads appear thicker or thinner depending on zoom level. Small towns disappear. Features are selectively emphasized. This isn't a flaw, it's intentional. Your brain can't process infinite detail. The map simplifies reality to remain usable, but every simplification is a value judgment about what matters. Navigation apps distort distance psychologically. A route that looks longer might feel worse, even if it takes the same time. Curves feel longer than straight lines. Turns feel costly. Designers exploit this. Maps shape behavior. And here's where it gets unsettling. Most people believe maps are objective because they are mathematical, but math doesn't remove bias, it encodes it. Every projection starts with a question: what should remain true when everything else must be sacrificed? That question has no neutral answer. And this isn't limited to geography. Anytime we reduce reality into a model, we distort it. Economic models, climate models, risk maps, crime heat maps, brain scans. They are maps of complex systems. They're useful, powerful, necessary, and wrong. This doesn't mean maps are bad. It means they are dangerous if misunderstood. The danger isn't that maps lie. The danger is that they lie convincingly. They feel authoritative, clean, precise, final, which makes it easy to forget that they are interpretations, not reality. The philosopher Alfred Korzybski famously said, "The map is not the territory." And yet, we constantly mistake one for the other. We fight wars over lines on maps. We base policy on projections of projections. We teach children simplified worlds and expect them to understand complexity. So what's the solution? Not abandoning maps, but learning to read them critically. Asking what is preserved, asking what is distorted, asking who made the map, for whom, and for what purpose. Because every map tells a story, and like all stories, the most dangerous ones are the ones that pretend to be neutral. Next time you see a world map, don't ask whether it's correct, ask what it's trying to be correct about. If this changed how you see something you thought was obvious, leave a comment. And if you want more videos about hidden assumptions baked into everyday things, this channel is for you. Because sometimes the biggest distortions aren't in the world, they're in how we draw it.